All right, we have a big decision coming up in a couple of days. Which one of these should we pick? Let's ask this guy.
Hello.
Hello, everybody. I'm Roadblock, and this is a Raid Shadow Legends video, and I am not alone. I'm joined today by MXPJE. I'm just going to call him PJ for the remainder of the video. And I just want to say thank you for coming on, PJ, and why don't you tell the audience a little bit about yourself?
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure. I've been watching you for a little bit, your Twitch streams, the YouTube. I'm doing awesome. Yeah, my name is PJ. I've been playing Raid for a little over 4 years. I stream pretty much every single weekday on Twitch, 2 times usually, and then just started doing the YouTubes, also part of the Game Leap family. We do trying to do 5 videos out a week there, and I'm happy to be here and talk about this big decision coming up.
Well, I really am super excited to have you here. I've been trying to get you on this channel for a while. I'm a big fan of PJ's, have been for a long time. And, you know, he little behind the scenes here, he's actually the guy that got me connected and got me on the Knights of Teleria podcast probably about a year ago now at this point, it seems. Yeah. So thank you for that. And also, if you guys want to see PJ have me on his channel, then you guys need to go get into his comment section and you get in on his Twitch and let him know that, so that, you know, I can get myself over there. So we're just going to do one over here today, but I will nag him every time I enter his chat just to bug him about getting a collab. So stop right there. Click the link in the description right now to get a free legendary Elenaril and 3 free amazing epics as you level up. Here are the exact steps that you need to follow. Step 1, log out of Plarium Play on PC and uninstall. Step 2, click the link in the description and register with a brand new email. Step 3, launch Raid and complete the tutorial. Step 4, go to your inbox and claim your first champ. Here we go. You'll find Elenaril here, as well as Uugo at level 10, Tagoar at level 20, and Rector Drath at 30. Don't forget to use the promo code Supreme6 to get yourself the awesome Supreme Galek. This is an amazing account start in Raid. So click on my link right now and follow the steps. But I'm excited because today we get to talk about something that I thought was very interesting. So I'll kick it to you, PJ. You recently had a video. I'll put them up on screen, but you want to tell people a little bit about what that video was about?
Yeah, so Plarium released a video a couple weeks ago saying that there's going to be a community event coming out. Last year they had the Wixwell where we could create a champion, a fusion, and this year they're doing a guaranteed relic, and they gave us 4 here: the Gore Crest, the Wand of Submission, the Stagnator, and then the Axe. And I think a lot of people initially thought, oh, we should get the Wand of Submission. It's the strongest one, and I agree, it is the strongest one out of the 4. But I think we might want to get the Stagnator, the Temporal Stagnator, for some other reasons. And we can go into that now if you want me to talk about that, or you want to talk about something of what you think of just at the beginning.
No, so I think what we're going to do in today's video is we are going to talk about the pros and cons of which vote that you guys might be wanting to make, right? I want to make sure that you guys are informed, and I like the fact that PJ has a slightly differing opinion from me on the matter, and so we can kind of look at pros and cons and kind of just debate about it so that you can make an informed decision, you know, instead of just going with the one that you think is the best. Or like on paper. So I think right away though, we could probably eliminate Gore Crescent and Axe Serpentis, right? I think that those are pretty underwhelming. I think if we're gonna vote for one, it would come down between Temporal Stagnator and Wand of Submission. Now, let me pull them up real quick, if I can remember how to get into the index. There we go. So you kind of already said it, and that you think the Temporal Stagnator is the one that we should be going for. Why do you think that should be the one that we go for?
So like I said, I think the wand is overall the better one, but the Stagnator is going to be harder to get, and I don't know, maybe people think the Stagnator is really bad. Maybe I think, and I just have a different opinion, I don't think it's as bad as people might initially think. But because the Wand of Submission is going to be in the standard Chimera group, there's a 50-50 chance of you always getting the standard group when you're crafting. So the odds of us getting the Wand of Submission or more wands than the Stagnator is going to be way, way, way higher. Because the only way we can get this Stagnator right now is from the clan shop, which is ridiculous. That's gonna be years and years out before we can get to level 28 and like 30 to get those. And the other way is through personal rewards CVCs, which happens once a month, and you have to win it, and you have to 3 or 4-0 to get the gold materials, which is really hard. So it's just gonna be really hard to get your hands on this. Unless you get really good RNG and get lucky early on, it's gonna be tougher to get.
Did Plarium confirm that all PR CBCs moving forward will have those rewards?
No, I'm just assuming. Because if not, then I have no idea how we're gonna get them.
Yeah, no, I agree that I completely agree with the fact that the Stagnator will be hard to get. Now, my big question, and I'm gonna divert to you because I don't know the answer. What is this saying? So I'm going to read it for the audience here. Wearer has a 20% chance to remove, steal, or convert buffs or increase a school's cooldown when landing a weak hit. Now, the way I read that is meaning that if somebody already has that in their kit, they will do that they have a 20% chance to still do that through a weak hit. Am I interpreting that correctly?
Yes, that's how I'm interpreting it as well. It goes up to a 50% chance if you get it maxed.
Okay.
And so, like, I know a lot of people with Crixia, she's a mythic, obviously, so not super relatable, but even like Fabian, these champions that are affinity, they can weak hit. So I believe it's a 35% chance to weak hit. And then, so if you do hit that 35% chance, then you have a 50% chance to then still land or strip, to lock them out, to steal their buffs, Terminator, stuff like that.
Okay, so that actually changes my stance, not completely, but I will admit that one of the problems that I've had with the Stagnator is the way that it reads, right? I don't think it is super clear about what it does. I will say that I do feel like it's maybe a little bit niche, right? Because, so we're talking about removing, stealing, or converting buffs. Sometimes the weak hits help you because you don't want to get polymorphed, right? Increasing a skill's cooldown that's a good one. Some people do that without needing to land a hit though, right? Or does everyone have to?
I think like Crixia, but Crixia is void.
No, she's not. She's a mythical.
Oh, sorry. So I meant Yumiko. Sorry. Yumiko. Sorry. Yeah, scratch that. Yumiko doesn't like hit, but she's void, so she's not gonna weak hit anyways.
Yeah.
Fabian's I think is a hit. Crixia's I'm not sure about. I don't have Crixia, but yeah, like I know a lot of people would be like, okay, you could also just use like the Wanda submission on them as well, which I agree. But something with like Fabian, I feel like the lockout is probably the most important part. So if you don't get the lockout, then you're kind of not necessarily screwed, but the A2 is not that big of a factor. Like if you do get sheeped off the A2, like he already locked them out, they're not going to really be able to do that much. Like yeah, he's sheeped, but he's going to come back out and they're locked out. So the lockout, getting a more reliable lockout, I think is pretty nice.
No, that's fair. I think that this is an interesting ability for sure. There is a good argument that you just made yourself about that. What would you rather really have? Like, would you rather have on a champion that you would put a Stagnator on? The question is, who would you rather, or what relic would you rather have on that champion? Would you rather have the ability to protect yourself against polymorph and other effects, or would you rather have a higher chance of increasing your performance against a weak affinity? I think for live arena, since you can't really guarantee the affinity that you're going on, this might be a little lower on the list of stuff that you would bring. And I would argue too that it would be very handy in stuff like Siege and Arena, because then you could throw it in when you're going up against a weak affinity. Like, like say you're trying to use Alice is the first one that comes to mind, right? And they're all force affinity. And it's like, okay, well, let me throw on this Stagnator to increase my chances of getting that lockout. So I do see the purpose for it, and it is going to be extremely rare. And I do want to completely agree with you there. Absolutely right. But we haven't talked enough about the Wand of Submission. So let's talk about that a little bit. And then I'll talk kind of about why I really am in favor of it. And I'll even support your argument a little bit here as well. So, just to give you an idea of what the Wand of Submission does, if you're not familiar with relics, the wearer has a 25% chance to reflect stun, sleep, fear, true fear, freeze, provoke, petrification, and sheep debuffs back at the producer. Now, this is basically any hard crowd control is going to be reflected back at the person doing so. So think Armand's. Armand's hates the Wand of Submission, right, when you're in arena. But the argument that PJ is really making here is this is in the standard group. And so anytime that you're crafting anything, you have the group chances. You have a 50% chance of it being from the standard group, and then another % chance from being from the other indexes, right? So there's the Chimera group, this was for the Alice event, the clan group that we're talking about now, and then this is the live arena, right? And so the argument is that because the resources to get Temporal Stagnator are so few, it's going to take forever to get. Just to kind of support that argument a little bit, if I go ahead and I look at my relics, I already have 3 Wands of Submission, and this is not, I've never spent any money on relics. This is just playing the game. I've been very lucky, perhaps, but Wands of Submissions, you do get them. You get a few of them, right? So I do agree with your argument. My issue that I ultimately have is that I feel like the wand is just so freaking good, and the Stagnator I feel like is a little niche. What do you think about that?
Yeah, it's kind of a tough sell. It's really off of the RNG. So if you get lucky and pull the Stagnator early, then you're like, yeah, whatever. Like, I already got it. But I think for a lot of people, they might not be as lucky. The wand, I guess, is usable during live arena, obviously classic arena. People are going to start not running sheep as much anymore. So that could kind of change things. Like you're using it to counter something that is not being as meta anymore. Mm-hmm. So that's something to think about, that like people are kind of changing how they're blessing people because of the wand. So that is something to, I don't know, kind of was thinking about that. What are your thoughts on that?
No, I agree. That is a good point. My biggest argument, however, is that this is usable everywhere. You know, we're talking a lot about arena. I do feel like, well, that's the second argument.
The Stagnator might be more usable everywhere.
Well, so the way I use Wand of Submission, I have it on my support in Chimera so that I don't get feared, I don't get provoked, I don't get stunned by the ram. I think it's great also to have in Hydra to potentially keep the fear off of your cleanser. You know, if you have somebody that is, the idea of them is to cleanse your team, you have this on them, it reduces the chance, it doesn't eliminate it, but it can reduce the chance that they get feared, and therefore giving them the ability to cleanse your team. So I do see a lot of use for this in PvE. Another spot too that I would love to have a whole team full of these would be those nasty, for, you know, maybe lower accounts, those nasty Tormund Doom Tower waves. You know what I mean? Those are the worst when you're on a new account and you're just like, oh my god, stop freezing me, dude.
Yeah.
So I feel like it has a pretty big place. But you know, I haven't thought about this, the Stagnator. I think my issue with the Stagnator as far as PvE goes is that, like, for stealing and locking out, and I don't know that I'm really relying on that for any content except for maybe Centranos.
Yeah. I guess it would be good for, again, like wave control content if you're weak hitting, stuff like that. I wish converting buffs, I wish it would, ideally it would be cool if it was helping with converting debuffs, because then you could kind of use it as like an affinity breaker, to where if you weak hit, then you could still get a chance to land the debuffs. That's my frustration with it.
I was going to bring that up, is that, you know, if you were, I don't know if I got to read up on Affinity Breaker here. We'll do that in actually, let's just do that really quickly now. I got to remind myself about Affinity Breaker, because I understand the concept of it, but I also want to make sure that I'm... Okay, so Affinity Breaker has a 50% chance to change a weak hit to a critical hit, which will basically mean that if something that wouldn't have landed because there was a weak hit, you have a chance that it will land, which is great. I have this, as you can see, on my Gwendolyn the Silent. This is for Chimera. I actually rotate this set between Gwendolyn and my Uugo for Hydra. So that is the kind of the argument too, is that the Stagnator kind of already exists, wouldn't you say? I mean, maybe in a worse form, because it's, you know, maybe not a set that a lot of people are running, but it kind of exists. You get a 50% chance to avoid weak hits if you're really concerned about that.
Yeah, kind of. It would just be nice because that's a whole set where this is just one spot in the relic. So you can put your champion in another set. The other thing I'd like to mention with the Stagnator, I guess, is just the stats you're getting from it. So you're getting almost 100 accuracy, 12 speed, and the res, I think, at the end, which is really nice to get that chunk of accuracy, especially early on if you don't have good accuracy banners or good chests, you're struggling for high accuracy builds. This is a huge chunk, and you also get that speed pretty early on, and 12 is a lot of speed. Yeah,
no, that's a great point too. I absolutely love the stats on this, starting with the accuracy and the speed versus the Wand of Submission, where the extra accuracy doesn't come until you have it quite a ways leveled up. And I know you're a deeper account than I am, so I'm going to ask, do you have anything leveled all the way up?
No, I am close to getting something to 15. I'm just deciding on what I want to do. I have the chickens made for it.
Okay.
I'm just waiting on pulling the trigger on what relic I want to do.
Yeah, because, I mean, I'm not the most endgame account by any stretch. I'm a pretty low spend. This is my main account, so I have spent some money on this, guys. But, yeah, the highest I've ever been able to do is get something up to 12. And, you know, it's painful.
It's really hard.
Yeah. So
I mean, that's another thing we could talk about in another video, honestly. But
yes.
There's no way of getting 4-star or 5-star chickens in the game right now, and it's really tough to get food to get these leveled up. Especially if you're not hitting late game, end game, Chimera, and you're or early game. It's going to take a long time. So it's not easy getting the level 15 or even to level 12.
No, I absolutely agree. Very, very difficult indeed, and. You're actually farming at a much. The highest I farm right now is Nightmare Chimera, so I haven't been able to do Ultra Nightmare to even get some of the better rewards that you're getting that would make it a little bit easier to do. So, but yeah, that's a good idea for a video on your channel, by the way, if you ever want to, if we ever want to do that. Yeah, well, I do think that there is a valid argument for both of them. Really quickly, just because some people may not really know why we discounted them so quickly. So Axe Serpentis was one of the other ones. Single target attacks deal 5% more damage for each exposed neck in the battle. This is a very niche thing for Hydra. You're going to want one that's more usable throughout, right? That's why I'm saying Wand of Submission, and even in very differing cases that we've just talked about, there are uses for Stagnator throughout the rest of the game. And then the first one is the Tagoar Crescent. Next attack after killing an enemy deals 20% more damage. Generally speaking, I don't think this is going to be super valuable in like arena or live arena. Maybe wave based content, but I don't see this as being one that's super popular. So that's kind of why we ruled those out. Anything else you have to add to those two, why we kind of ruled them out?
No, yeah, definitely. If the old Hydra if the Hydra was like the old Hydra where the health was forever and there was no like health pool, this one could actually be really solid, but because they changed it, it's kind of useless. Yeah, I agree. So, but yeah, at the end of the day, what I really wanted to have in this video was just to present you guys with options. So, and informed opinions to really make your own decision, right? I didn't want to just make a video. Originally, I'd asked PJ, I was like, hey, can I do a react to your original video? And he was like, yeah, but, I wanted to give and take so that you guys have an opportunity to really pick what you want, because at the end of the day, that's what this is. It's about the community. The whole community gets to vote. So when those start, in fact, I'm probably going to schedule this to come out on the day that they start, whenever that is. Take this into consideration and hopefully make an informed decision about your choice, which very clearly should be the Wand of Submission. So, no, I'm just kidding. All right, well, we'll call that a video. PJ, do you have anything else that you want to say before we go? No, I just, overall, I do think the Wand is better. I just wanted to get the idea out there that people initially were going to just always jump to the Wand of Submission, and I saw this in my Discord, actually. I mentioned my original video, but someone in my Discord mentioned it, that it's going to be a lot harder to get the Temporal Stagnator, and I was like, that's actually a really good point. I didn't think about that. So yeah, thank you so much for having me on the channel. I really appreciate it. My first collab. I think it went pretty good. Hopefully we'll do some more in the future.
Yes.
And yeah, MXPJE on Twitch, YouTube, come check it out.
There you go. All right. I'll put a link to the original video in the description as well, so that you guys have it as a reference point to know kind of what he said in his original video, and a link to his channels so that you can go find him. But I'm not kidding when I say, guys, that I'm a big fan of PJ. Like, I watch a handful of the content creators live on Twitch, and PJ is always at the top of my list. If I see him on and I'm in the mood to watch Twitch, it's usually PJ, and I'm just in there giving him hell all day because he won't collab with me. So
thank you. Always happy to have you.
Yes. All right, guys. Well, I just want to say thank you again to PJ for being on the channel, and thank you guys for watching. If you are new here, the best way to support this channel would be to click that subscribe button, so please consider doing so. And I look forward to seeing you all in the next video. Take care.
Peace.